While attending National 4-H Conference in the spring of 1974, Debbie Dudkowitz Vanderwende, a Maryland delegate and an active member of the Cottontown Girls 4-H Club, became acquainted with Delaware's delegation and our state 4-H leader, Jim Baker. Mr. Baker invited Debbie to be a counselor at Delaware State 4-H Camp that June. Sussex County's Doug Vanderwende would also have been at Camp Barnes that year, and as they say, the rest is history. Debbie brought her extensive project experience in clothing and textiles to Delaware 4-H. She has volunteered her time to provide numerous sewing workshops for 4-Hers, and her ability to teach and share skills has benefited many young sewers. She has been a fixture at fashion reviews and clothing showcases across the state as a construction and interview judge. 2024 marked her 50th year as a clothing and textiles judge at the state fair. 50 years. Let that sink in for a second. If you know Debbie at all, you already know that sewing was actually not her favorite part of 4-H. When Dusty, her daughter, started showing sheep in 1990, Debbie was hooked. She continues to manage and show a flock of Lincoln sheep locally, regionally, and nationally. In fact, that's exactly what she's doing tonight. Over the years, she has guided and mentored countless sheep showmen, 4-H youth, and others involved in the industry in Delaware, as well as those from many miles away, are quick to seek her valuable advice. Debbie serves as a member of the Delaware State Fair Board, is the assistant sheep superintendent, and serves as the sheep show chairperson at the fair. In addition, she serves as the secretary-treasurer of the National Lincoln Sheep Association. In 2013, she was recognized with the Delaware 4-H Salute to Excellence Lifetime Volunteer Award for Sussex County. Dusty Vanderwende Small, who is here tonight from Florida with Debbie and Doug's 4 grandchildren, will accept the award for her mother. Congratulations, Debbie, on your induction to the Delaware 4-H Hall of Fame, recognizing 50 years of service to Delaware 4-H.
Good evening. Y'all have already heard most of what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Good evening. It's always great to be home, and especially to enjoy an evening among so many familiar faces, many of whom helped shape me through Delaware 4-H. But none of these devoted 4-H leaders influenced me more than my mom. My mom asked me to accept this award on her behalf tonight while she was showing her sheep and representing the National Lincoln Association as its treasurer at the National Regional Lincoln Show at the Big E. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure she meant to ask me. I think she might have been joking because she didn't really think I would come. What is certain is that when she opened her letter, she was incredibly surprised and honored that someone would not only think to nominate her, but that she would be accepted into this Hall of Fame. For me, knowing how much it means to her, I had to come. So, when I told her that I was definitely coming, she immediately quipped, "Well, good. You can give a speech for me, too." See, my mom loathes speaking in front of people. She probably thought she was joking about the speech, too. But at that moment, what I heard was, "I bet you won't." So here goes. 4-H has meant the world to my mom for her entire life. Of course, all of you who were around while I was in 4-H know that she pushed me to enter every contest and complete a record book in nearly every project known to man, which means my mom also learned every project known to man. She called it well-rounded. Others might call it nuts. What some of you might not know is that from the time she was a youngster, my mom was a member of the Cottontown Girls 4-H Club in Cecil County, Maryland, completing 4-H projects in sewing, foods and nutrition, horticulture, automotive, and others. She regularly competed in sewing, baking, and gardening-related competitions, and in 1972, she won the Maryland Automotive Care Contest for her division. She was, and still is, her own version of well-rounded. My parents met at Camp Barnes in 1974 when my dad was a camper and there were not enough camp counselors in Delaware to lead the camp. So Mr. Jim Baker and Mr. Dean Belt called on Maryland for volunteers. My mom was 19 and showed up at Camp Barnes to be a counselor. And then, I'm not sure what happened next or who was supposed to be supervising, but all I've really got to go on is some cockamamie story about my mom and dad in a canoe on the Muddy Miller with another of tonight's inductees, Mr. Lloyd Lee Height. And one of the passengers in that canoe didn't like where it was headed, so he started paddling backwards. Inexplicably, all three of them ended up in the creek. And that was it. True love. My mom grew up on a dairy and earned a dairy science degree from the University of Delaware in 1976. Not long after my parents were wed, in 1977, she started showing Vanderwende dairy cows and heifers at the Delaware State Fair with my older cousins, and then with me. When I was about 6 and about to join 4-H, she thought sheep might be a more suitable project for me to pursue because we could raise them at the house and we didn't have to keep an eye on them at the dairy a few miles away. I started showing Suffolk, but after a few years transitioned to Lincoln Longwell, which my mom still shows today. While I sense that her public presence and her interaction with 4-Hers at this moment in time is largely defined by her leadership in the sheep department at the Delaware State Fair, I believe her wool-producing sheep are actually an extension of her lifelong passion for textiles such as wool and the artistry and attention to detail required to convert them into something you can wear and enjoy. As a kid, some of my earliest memories are of sitting on her lap while she sewed at the dining room table. I spent countless Saturday mornings attending sewing classes for 4-Hers and their parents at the Georgetown Extension office. It would be interesting to know just how many years she taught those classes and how many people she taught to sew. Additionally, can I see a show of hands of how many people in this room she has made or altered a garment for? I imagine there's several. I can't tell you how many gowns and outfits she has made, altered, or repaired for me. There were, and still are, clothing items belonging to other people strewn about the house, draped over the furniture, and hanging from doors. In fact, I believe there is a local couple who got married this afternoon, whom many of you know, and for whom she altered multiple garments for their big day. The most amazing thing she proudly told me this week was that she has been judging 4-H sewing contests at the Delaware State Fair for 50 years this year. It turns out that back in 1974 at 4-H camp, in addition to meeting the love of her life, she also made an impression on Mr. Jim Baker and Mr. Sam Gwynn, and they recruited her to judge the sewing contest at the Delaware State Fair that same year. She has continued to judge in the 4-H sewing section at the Delaware State Fair every year since then, in addition to playing an active role in county fashion reviews, clothing and textile judging contests, annual trips to G Street Fabrics in Beltsville, Maryland, which used to be annual, and the Delaware Wool Lead Line Contest, just to name a few. To me, her love for sewing and textiles, is her most profound contribution to Delaware 4-H. So, for tonight, I not only prepared this speech, but I also came bearing props so that maybe she wouldn't miss out on the photo ops. I have 6 of these, and I'm going to give them out to my kids and my dad and Mr. Lloyd Lee Height. What I would like for y'all to do tonight is that I'd like everyone who feels so inclined to take a pic with my mom and text it to her at the sheep show. If you have her number, send her a selfie. If you don't have her number, get someone who does to take your picture. I'd be happy to be your photographer. And please, please, please include her in all group shots. She's going to be so surprised. Even though she can't be here tonight, this award means a lot to her, and she is so honored to be listed among the 4-H greats of Delaware. Thank you all for having us, everyone's hard work to put this event on, and congratulations to all tonight's inductees.